Good morning, learners. In this video, we are going to look at the November 2015 paper 1 departmental question paper for grade 12 learners. And we're going to look at question 4, which is a very short question, just 6 marks. And we have here an exponential equation given fx is equal to 2 to the power of x plus 1 minus 8. Then they say, first of all, write down the equation of the asymptote. Now, before we look at this, I can see that this is an exponential equation because the x is in the exponent. And typically, an exponential equation is a times b to the power of x minus p plus q. This you should know, where if the b is a number bigger than 1, then the graph will go up that side. If it is a fraction smaller than 1, it will go up that side, my exponential graph. And the a, if the a is positive, the graph typically lies above the asymptote. If the a is negative, the graph will lie below the asymptote. If that's my asymptote, the graph will be below it. The p moves the graph left and right. The q moves the graph up and down. Q is also the value of the horizontal asymptote. These are things that you should know all. Okay, so if you know that, then we can jump in. This is my exponential equation. So the one that they give to me here is fx is 2 to the power of x plus 1 minus 8 in this question. So I can see the a is 1 there. The b is then 2 in this equation. The p, since that's x minus p and this is x plus 1, this p is actually negative 1. Because I can rewrite the x plus 1 as x minus negative 1, then it's x plus 1. Which I can see then the p is going to be negative 1 and the q is negative 8. Okay, so the first thing they ask, write down the asymptote. The equation of the asymptote. The equation of the asymptote is simply y is equal to q. And in this question, the q is negative 8, so y is equal to negative 8. Then question 4.2, sketch the graph of f, clearly indicate all intercepts with the axis as well as the asymptote. Okay, so I want to sketch this graph, and I know already that my asymptote is going to be where y is negative 8. Y is negative 8 is going to be my asymptote. And since the a value here is positive, I know the graph is going to be above the asymptote. And since that is not a fraction, the b value, I know the graph is going to go up that side, right? So I know from basics that this is what my graph should look like more or less. I need to get the x and the y intercepts. So the x-intercept I get by making y 0. So in the equation, 2 to the power of x plus 1 minus 8 is equal to y. Minus 8 is equal to y. I'm going to make my y 0. And then from this, I get 2 to the power of x plus 1. If I take the 8 over to the other side, it becomes positive. And 8 I can write as 2 to the power of 3. Rather than 8, so that I can compare the exponents if the bases are the same. Then the exponents x plus 1 and 3 should be the same. Please don't cancel the 2's, just make the exponents equal. And then from that I get my x-intercept is at 2. And then I also need my y-intercept, which I get by making the x 0. So y is equal to 2 to the power of 0 plus 1 minus 8, which this is 2. Minus 8, you can use your calculator, also minus 6. So I've got that there at minus 6. And, well, that is the graph with the x and y intercepts are shown. My asymptote is shown and clearly marked. And That's the sketch. And then question 4.3, very easy, just says the graph of G is obtained by reflecting the graph of F in the y-axis. Write down the equation of G. Now, hopefully you know to reflect in the x and y axis, you replace the other one with a negative. So to reflect in the x axis, you replace the y in the equation with negative y. And to reflect in the y-axis, which is what we want to do here, you replace the x in the equation with a negative x. It's quite simple actually. So in this equation that I have, 4.3 fx, which is the y, is equal to 2 to the power of x, which I'm going to replace with a negative x, plus 1 minus 8. I just replace the x with a negative x, and then this is reflected in the y-axis. Alright, so reflection in the y-axis, if you think of the sketch, is not going to affect my my horizontal asymptote, and this point is also going to stay exactly where it is. The graph is just going to go like that. Alright, so there's the equation, and this is question 4.